So I've been thinking about a lot about the implications of the real, true, deep look at the story of Adam and Eve and this place called reality, where we will experience death. And I just keep thinking about the fact that when we realize that a curse is a real thing that exists here in this place, and we look at the curse of Adam, and we look at what it is that Adam originally did wrong, and what was his course of correction that was provided for him. Because it wasn't just partaking that was his first implication of something being off about him. What was off about him was that he didn't love Eve. And it made evident because he didn't correct her. He didn't stop her. She was vulnerable because she was brand new to a place he's been possibly for hundreds of years. And she's the weakest part of the two. She's the weakest because she's the heart. So Satan goes after the heart because that's the easiest access point, the soft spot. And because he didn't love her, she didn't love him. And that's why she was open to doubting what God told both of them. I mean, imagine he had hundreds of years where he was walking with and getting to know God, but he didn't know how to be selfless. He didn't know how to love her. So his course of correction is to provide for her, to work the ground, because man providing for the woman is how he learns to love, how he learns to be selfless. And I keep thinking about my gay folks, my beloved gay folks that I love, who I believe do not really truly understand the implications of the participation in identifying as a sexual activity. And it's not that it's unloving to be against it, it's unloving to not be honest or to pretend that I view it as not wrong or in the right direction. Because again, the curse of Adam is that he doesn't want to protect, highly value, and provide for Eve. And for the gay folks, the choice in identifying with a sexual activity is the same choice, and it's kind of the same action as choosing yourself. I'd rather just provide for myself, because if you're into that lifestyle, you are identifying with the other partner as being you because you're the same gender. And it's not to say that it's impossible to love somebody and to be selfless for somebody who's the same gender. It's to say that providing for and being selfless for the opposite gender as man for woman, when we're talking about a curse, for the possibility of understanding the logic presented about why we're here in reality, why we have to go through this thing called death, and how we're not supposed to be afraid of that or of anything scary that could happen here. So trying to understand how to be here and go into the right direction and do the right thing, I think it's important, it's imperative to be honest with ourselves if we understand what we're doing when we do it. And identifying as a sexual activity is not going to make it be something that's the right direction because you want it to be, or because you choose not to believe in the religious texts of the story of Adam and Eve or the existence of God or anything like that. What I'm trying to help build is a way to understand how to look at yourself and make sure that you're being honest with yourself. And this is how I did it with myself. Am I being honest with myself? Because it doesn't just apply to, gay or lesbian people who identify as a sexual activity. It applies also to people who identify as as who identify as the logic of not participating or believing what a majority of the people here around surrounding us do believe in, and making the choice to in just choosing not to believe their logic is in itself standing against them and their beliefs and what they logicalize and how they view the world. So you know that if you know somebody thinks a certain way, you're going to know that how they think about you and your beliefs, your practices, how you view the world, and your logic. So if somebody who claims that they follow Christ also claims that it's not the wrong direction to identify as a sexual activity, the logic doesn't make sense, because the whole stories connected to the existence of Jesus, the Holy Spirit, all of these things, God, the story of Adam and Eve, the Hebrew Bible, all these things, they all identify us as people, as well as who chooses to be against those things. And so I want to make sure that I'm loving, that I'm being real, because that's what love is, to be real, to be honest, to not be fake, to not go along with things, even when you are trying to make sure that you're being considerate of somebody and their personal life choices. Because I have loved ones, very close loved ones, who identify and have lived their entire lives as that identity. And so I'm thankful that I have that relationship, that I can look at and make sure I'm being considerate of anybody who's like them, and think of them when I'm thinking about why existence is the way it is, and what it means to live in a certain way, and what it means to believe that somebody else could be living in a better way, where they don't see that betterness as better. So in reality, we disagree. And yet, at the same time, if I can remain loving towards them, even though we disagree, I believe that that would prove to me that my religious views, the logic of what I identify as a child of God, is whom is love, then my logic is aligning for me. It is in alignment with the truth, and it is in alignment with beginning to understand how things work in this world. And from what I could see about Adam not wanting to provide for her, like not wanting to love her, I see that. I see it here in men. Every day I see the curse of Adam. I see the curse of Adam. I see the curse of Eve. And the curse of Eve is always because when God aligned her correction, what, they call it punishment. I don't think it's punishment though. It's a correcting factor because there was evidence of something not right that needed to be corrected. So what it was is that she didn't love him either. He didn't love her. She didn't love him because they didn't really know what love was yet. And that's what we're here to learn. Adam is man, Eve is woman, and we're here to learn to love each other and create a family, a structure that is strong enough to get through a place where, because this is the only place that fear exists. And I believe that the tree of good and evil, of knowledge of good and evil, is just a symbology, of course. But, imagine that God knew that the tree was there, of course. God created it to be there for a reason. So obviously, if Adam had known what love was and did love her and showed by taking care of her, taking the mature route of, seeing that she did something wrong and not joining her, but being like, hey, no, why'd you do that? No, we can't do that. And that's not what happened. And, a lot of men are like, you just want to blame everything on men. No, I'm trying to comprehend the reality of how to really understand this existence and why we end up here, because we're here right now. And what's here with us that God tells us not to be with, what's here with us, and He tells us not to be with it, is fear. Do not be afraid, because everything is about frequency. Be the frequency of love, because you cannot be two frequencies at once. You can either be the frequency of fear or you could be the frequency of love. And understanding what holy matrimony is, and when two people come together, and learning about life and how to be with one another, understanding sexuality, understanding perversion, understanding being violated as a young child. I think it's what's going to be coming out a lot more than just the fact that children are being horrifically harmed and trafficked. We're also being violated by these corporations like Disney and all this. Our childhood our sexuality was, it was stolen from us. Our parents were not careful enough and aware enough, self-aware enough to understand what we were being exposed to. And our sexuality, instead of it being sacred and only between something that you share between your spouse and yourself, it's it's just thrown out there. And that's what's being exposed with all these people exposing, the Minions and the Lilo and Stitch. I mean, I never realized Lilo was doing witchcraft, summoned a demon, and he came, and then she thought she could love him. And so, with my own children, I try to explain to them, you have to make sure you protect what you get exposed to, because once your sexuality is violated, and it doesn't have to be that somebody touched you and they know this, once they violate your mind, they open up the door to being able to confuse your behaviors and make you focus on believing that you are whatever it is that you're confused about, your sexuality or your sense of misery. Because there's a lot of people who identify as being depressed, or I'm melancholy. I'm the people who are like, I'm goth. They identified, they found their identity in that. And that is not an indication of somebody going in the right direction. It's somebody going in the wrong direction. Somebody going in the right direction would look like somebody who loves serving other people, because God is in other people. And it's important to be truthful and live in that truth with ourselves. So I hope this helps people to become more contemplative about where we are in our reality of living, and finding out what it is we're doing here with fear. It's here, but we are forbidden from identifying with it or emitting it. Do not emit fear. No matter what's around you, don't emit fear. Why would you become, by identifying with it, something that you know is not good? And that would be fear. So